Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just another spiritual message. Something rare, something powerful, and something unmistakable is about to unfold this weekend. If you've been walking the twin flame path, if you've been surviving the silence, the longing, the confusion of separation, then pay attention. Because the energy coming in right now isn't subtle. It isn't symbolic. And it isn't theoretical. This is the moment where the separation cycle breaks. Not eventually. Not one day. But now. The universe is shifting its weight. The timelines are collapsing. And the divine feminine, you, will be the very first to feel the symptoms. You may have already sensed the pressure building. A strange stillness. A quiet hum beneath your everyday routine. A feeling like something is approaching you from behind the veil, something you can't see, but you can absolutely feel. This weekend marks a threshold, an energetic doorway that your soul has been moving toward for months. And once you cross it, nothing about this connection, or your emotional landscape, will ever feel the same. So breathe. Center yourself. And listen carefully. Because what's coming next isn't coincidence. It's not imagination. It's the end of separation, and the beginning of the reunion timeline activating. Let's step into the energy and uncover what the divine feminine will feel first. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when the path stops feeling accidental and begins revealing its deeper design. This is that moment for you. The phase you're stepping into isn't a matter of coincidence or luck. It is a sacred checkpoint your soul deliberately prepared for long before you ever arrived in this lifetime. Everything you've been through, every challenge, every heartbreak, every breakthrough, and every quiet night spent questioning your purpose has been preparing you for this exact turning point. Even when you felt lost, even when you doubted your own intuition, you were still walking a path carved by your higher self with absolute precision. Your soul has been training for this in ways you may not have fully understood at the time. The moments that felt like endings were actually initiations. The experiences that shattered you were strengthening the very parts of you that would be needed now. The healing you fought so hard for, the kind where you had to face yourself honestly, bravely, and without filters, has become the foundation that supports this new chapter. You were never delayed. You were never off track. You were being shaped. There's a reason that, lately, everything around you feels slightly more meaningful than usual. Certain conversations feel loaded with hidden messages. Ordinary moments feel charged with a quiet electricity. Your intuition is heightened. Your dreams are clearer. Your emotions are rising to the surface in ways you can no longer ignore. All of this is evidence that you're standing at the threshold of a major inner shift. The universe doesn't whisper this loudly unless something important is unfolding. You might notice a subtle sense of readiness you didn't have before. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's more like a gentle internal click, a knowing that you've finally arrived at a point where your wounds no longer define you, your doubts no longer control you, and your fears no longer have the strength to pull you backward. The heaviness you carried for so long begins to loosen its grip. Not because the circumstances changed, but because you did. Your soul grew into a version of you that can hold more light, more clarity, and more alignment than ever before. This is why things feel different now. Your inner world is expanding, and your outer world is responding to that expansion. You're seeing patterns with new eyes. You're recognizing cycles you're ready to break. You're feeling emotions you're finally strong enough to process. You're experiencing synchronicities that point you toward the next chapter your soul is calling in. Nothing about this moment is random. Your soul knew this was coming. Your soul prepared you for it. And now the universe is opening the door for you to step into a phase of life where your inner work begins to translate into visible transformation. Trust the timing. Trust the sensations. Trust the knowing rising within you. You are entering the moment your soul has been quietly training for all along. There comes a moment on your spiritual path when all the inner work you've been doing, quietly, privately, sometimes painfully, finally reaches a point of resonance with the destiny that has always been waiting for you. This moment marks the opening of an energetic lock, a shift so subtle yet so profound that only your soul can truly recognize its significance. For months, perhaps even years, you have been aligning piece by piece, recalibrating your emotions, releasing what no longer fits, and shedding identities that were built out of survival rather than truth. Even when you couldn't see it, you were rising. Even when you felt stuck, you were evolving. And now, your vibration finally matches the frequency of the life your destiny has been holding for you. Think of destiny like a sacred vault, never closed to punish you, only locked until your energy became aligned enough to open it. You were never excluded. You were being prepared. Every time you chose healing over repeating, awareness over avoidance, growth over comfort, you strengthened your energetic field. Every time you confronted an old wound or allowed yourself to let go of something heavy, you raised your frequency. Slowly, your soul began tuning itself to a timeline that was always yours, but not yet available to you. Now you're aligned with it in a way that creates a powerful internal click, a spiritual unlocking. This unlock isn't dramatic. It's not loud. It's a shift you feel from the inside first, the sense that something is finally moving, finally aligning, finally ready. You might notice your intuition becoming sharper, your decisions becoming clearer, and your internal resistance dissolving. Even the way you breathe begins to feel different, lighter, freer, more expansive. That is the energy of your destiny beginning to flow toward you without obstruction. What was once inaccessible now becomes reachable simply because you resonate with it. When your frequency rises to match your highest timeline, life stops fighting you. Instead, it begins responding to you. The synchronicities increase. Opportunities that were blocked suddenly open. People who reflect your growth appear in your path. You're drawn to environments, choices, habits, and experiences that mirror your evolution. Nothing feels forced. Nothing requires chasing. You're being carried by a current you used to swim against. This alignment also signifies the beginning of a deeper reunion, whether that's with your twin flame, your purpose, or your true self. Reunion energy becomes available only when your vibration stabilizes in a frequency of clarity, self-worth, and openness. Before now, the energetic gap was too wide. You were still healing. You were still learning. You were still finding your truth. But now, the resonance is there. You finally matched the timeline that has always been yours to step into. This is why things feel different. This is why your heart feels more awake. This is why your soul feels more present. The energetic lock has opened, not because destiny changed, but because you did. You've risen into the version of yourself who can hold the reality you've been calling in. And now, that reality is finally answering you. There comes a turning point on every soul journey where the energy stops feeling like a chase and starts feeling like a quiet homecoming. This is that moment for you, the moment where your highest timeline is no longer something you're struggling to reach, but something that is actively choosing you. For so long, you moved toward your destiny with determination, prayer, surrender, and persistence. You tried to align, to manifest, to heal enough to deserve the next step. But now the energy shifts. The universe begins orienting itself around you, elevating you into the position you've been preparing for. Instead of you chasing destiny, destiny is turning toward you. This is the moment when alignment becomes natural. The path you've been trying to find suddenly becomes clear, almost effortless. You're not pushing your way through dense energy anymore. You're being guided, lifted, redirected with a sense of grace that feels both surreal and deeply familiar. When the highest timeline chooses you, the universe rearranges people, circumstances, and opportunities in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. Doors that were once sealed shut begin opening without resistance. Conversations unfold with perfect timing. The right people appear without force. Solutions arrive before you even ask. What once demanded effort now unfolds with flow. This shift isn't accidental, it's earned. It's the natural result of everything you've been releasing, healing, and becoming. When you stopped settling for less than you deserved, you freed yourself from lower timelines. When you honored your intuition over your fears, you stepped closer to your truth. When you chose growth over comfort, the universe took notice. Now life is responding to the version of you who finally matches the vibration of your future. You might notice a new sense of ease in places where you used to feel tension. A sense of clarity in circumstances that used to confuse you. A sense of peace around decisions that once overwhelmed you. These are all signs that destiny is moving you instead of you trying to move it. Your energy is no longer fighting anything. It's aligning with everything. Your highest timeline isn't just about achieving something, it's about becoming someone. Someone who trusts themselves without hesitation. Someone who embodies self-worth without apology. Someone who walks with purpose instead of doubt. Someone who can finally receive what they once struggled to hold. The universe doesn't choose the old version of you. It chooses the expanded, healed, awakened version, the one you've been growing into quietly and consistently. As this timeline anchors, life begins to feel more supportive, more meaningful, more synchronized. You no longer feel like you're searching for your place in the world. You feel like you're being placed into it, deliberately, lovingly, divinely. This shift is the universe's way of saying, you're ready now. So allow yourself to soften, to receive, to trust this flow. You don't have to chase anymore. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to fight your way forward. Your highest timeline is choosing you now, and all you have to do is step into it with the heart that has been waiting for this moment all along. There is a sacred moment on every spiritual path when the universe begins to clear the space around you, not to punish you, not to isolate you, but to prepare you for what comes next. This is that moment. As you rise into a higher frequency, anything that cannot match that vibration naturally begins to loosen its grip. It doesn't matter how familiar it was, how long it stayed, or how much comfort it once provided. If it was rooted in fear, scarcity, insecurity, or wounded attachment, it cannot follow you into your next chapter. Your expansion demands room, and the universe is creating it. This process can feel confusing at first. People drift away. Old connections fade. Behaviors you once tolerated suddenly feel heavy. Conversations that used to comfort you now feel draining. You find yourself uninterested in patterns you once repeated unconsciously. This is not rejection. This is refinement. Energetic elevation creates separation, not from love, but from the lower frequencies that once kept you small. You are rising, and anything built on fear simply cannot breathe in the altitude of your becoming. The universe is not taking anything from you. It is returning you to yourself. Every person, dynamic, or emotional habit that slips out of your field is being released because it has already served its purpose. Holding on to them any longer would only anchor you to a version of yourself you've outgrown. You are not losing anything essential. You are shedding what was never meant to stay forever. When your soul is ready to step into higher alignment, outdated vibrations fall away automatically. This is spiritual law. In these moments, remember, clearing is not loss. Clearing is preparation. Just as a garden must be pruned before it blooms, your life must be emptied of what is misaligned so the divinely aligned can take its place. The universe does not remove without replacing. It removes to make space for what matches the truth of who you are becoming. Allowing things to fall away is an act of faith. Trusting what comes next is an act of surrender. And both are required to step fully into your highest timeline. As you rise, you will notice that the universe becomes more intentional with what it allows around you. Relationships grow deeper or dissolve entirely. Opportunities become more aligned or disappear suddenly. Your emotional landscape shifts, revealing the habits and thoughts that no longer fit your new vibration. Some things will feel like they are being pulled away from you, but in reality, they are being pulled out of you. You are undergoing a purification, a realignment, a spiritual elevation. This clearing is a gift. It is an answer to the prayers you whispered on nights you were barely holding on. It is the universe preparing the ground for divine replacement. People who understand your soul, experiences that nourish your spirit, opportunities aligned with your purpose, and a life that reflects your worth. What leaves now leaves because it cannot follow you forward. What comes next comes because it was always meant for the version of you who is finally ready. Let it fall away. Let it open space. Let it prepare you. The universe never removes what is meant for you, only what was holding you back from receiving it. There is a profound shift happening within you, one that you can feel long before you can fully understand it. The sensations in your chest, the sudden waves of emotion, the tightening and opening, the moments where you feel overwhelmed for no clear reason. None of this is anxiety. It is expansion. Your heart chakra is recalibrating itself to hold a new level of love, one that is more stable, more grounded, more mature, and far more aligned with the union you are moving toward. This shift is not random. It is the direct result of the healing, releasing, and inner transformation you've been undergoing for months. Your heart is no longer operating from the wounded template of the past, the one built on fear, abandonment, overgiving, or craving validation. Those emotional imprints have been dissolving, piece by piece, each time you chose truth over comfort, self-awareness over reaction, and unconditional love over expectation. Now your energetic body is upgrading to match the vibration of the love you're meant to receive and experience. This requires expansion, and expansion always feels intense before it feels natural. You might feel pressure in your chest, a fluttering sensation, or sudden bursts of warmth. You might cry unexpectedly, not out of sadness, but because your heart is stretching into a version of love it wasn't previously capable of holding. You might even feel a strange mixture of vulnerability and strength at the same time. This is your heart learning to stay open without collapsing, to feel deeply without drowning, to give without depletion, and to receive without fear. This recalibration is happening because you are being prepared for a new level of emotional stability. Not the stability that comes from controlling circumstances or people, but the kind that comes from trusting yourself. The kind that says, "I am safe in my heart. I am anchored in my truth. I can hold love without losing myself." You are becoming emotionally strong in ways that once felt impossible. The kind of strength where you can feel deeply without spiraling. Where you can love without attaching. Where you can remain open without anxiety. Your heart is no longer in survival mode, it is moving into expansion mode. For the first time, your emotional body is learning to hold the vibration of true partnership, sacred union, and unconditional love without fear of collapse. This shift also affects the energy you attract. As your heart chakra rises into coherence, people who resonate with your new frequency begin to enter your field. Those who can't maintain the vibration quietly drift away. Your relationships deepen or dissolve in ways that reflect your new emotional strength. The universe matches the energy of your heart with experiences that align with its expansion. Allow these sensations. Breathe into them. Your heart is undergoing a divine upgrade, strengthening itself to hold the level of love you've been preparing for. You are not breaking, you are blooming. You are not overwhelmed, you are awakening. You are being stretched into the version of yourself who can finally hold the union you've always known was meant for you. There are moments on your spiritual journey when the universe stops communicating through external signs and begins speaking directly through you. This is one of those moments. Divine timing doesn't always arrive with fireworks or dramatic synchronicities. It often reveals itself as a sudden, quiet, undeniable inner certainty. A knowing that rises from within, unexplainable yet unshakable, like a soft but powerful voice in your chest saying, "It's time." This shift marks the moment when you no longer chase signs because you become the sign. For so long, you may have looked outward for confirmation, feathers, numbers, dreams, messages, intuitions reflected through others. You searched for reassurance that your path was unfolding correctly, that the universe had not forgotten you, that your manifestations were still on their way. Those signs guided you through your uncertainty, your healing, and your waiting. But divine timing has a distinct signature. When it activates, external validation becomes unnecessary. The confidence comes from inside, not outside. This sudden inner knowing is not random. It is the direct result of alignment. Your energy, your readiness, your lessons, your healing, all of these have reached a point of resonance with your next chapter. You feel a shift, even if nothing around you has visibly changed yet. Something deep within you clicks into place. The fear softens. The doubt dissolves. The anxiety loosens. And what remains is clarity, not the loud, logical clarity of the mind, but the quiet, steady clarity of the soul. This clarity isn't built on evidence. It isn't backed by guarantees. There may be no physical signs, no visible movement, no external cues. Yet you feel secure. You feel guided. You feel aligned. That feeling, that stillness, that confidence, that lack of resistance, is divine timing revealing itself. It's the universe saying, "You are ready, and what is meant for you is ready too." This kind of certainty isn't dramatic. It's grounding. It allows you to breathe deeper. It shifts you from anticipation to trust. You stop asking, "When will it happen?" and instead start feeling, "It's already happening." Your decisions change. Your reactions shift. Your energy stabilizes. You no longer move from fear or urgency, you move from alignment. And that alone accelerates your path. Divine timing doesn't come through waiting, it comes through becoming. You become the version of yourself who no longer doubts the path. You become the person who knows without questioning. You become the frequency matched to your own destiny. External signs were never meant to guide you forever. They were placeholders, training wheels, stepping stones until you rediscovered your inner compass. Now, that compass is active again. The certainty you feel is the stamp of divine timing, the energetic signature that says the universe is synchronizing events behind the scenes. You don't have to push. You don't have to force. You simply have to stay aligned with this inner peace, because it is the first evidence of everything unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the knowing. Trust the shift. Trust yourself. Divine timing is no longer coming, it has already arrived within you. There comes a point on your spiritual path when the noise inside you finally quiets, not because life becomes easier, but because you become more integrated. This is the moment when your inner masculine and inner feminine energies, two forces that once seemed to pull you in opposite directions, finally stop fighting and begin to harmonize. This balance is not small. It is a profound spiritual milestone, a sign that the deepest layers of your being are moving into alignment with your true self and your highest soulmate, or twin flame path. For so long, these two energies may have lived in conflict within you. Your inner masculine pushed you to act, to make things happen, to chase outcomes, to seek clarity through doing. Meanwhile, your inner feminine whispered for stillness, trust, intuition, surrender, and emotional flow. When these energies were imbalanced, you felt torn. One part of you wanted to move, the other wanted to wait. One part wanted answers, the other wanted faith. This internal tug-of-war wasn't a flaw. It was the old template you inherited from past wounds, conditioning, and survival patterns. But as you've healed your heart, strengthened your intuition, and stepped into deeper spiritual awareness, something sacred has been shifting. These two energies are no longer battling for control. Instead, they are learning to dance with each other. Your masculine has softened, becoming protectively supportive rather than forceful. It no longer pushes you from fear, it moves you from clarity. And your feminine has strengthened, becoming grounded rather than overwhelmed. It doesn't drown in emotion, it navigates with wisdom. This is the stabilization of divine masculine and feminine energy within you, and it marks the beginning of a new chapter. Your intuition guides you, and your masculine energy takes aligned action on what you know is true. Your feminine receives insight, and your masculine builds the structure to hold it. You no longer jump out of desperation or freeze from uncertainty. Your choices become calm, empowered, intentional. This harmony is the essence of balance, and balance is the foundation of union. Twin flame union is not triggered by longing or chasing, it is triggered by internal equilibrium. When your inner energies stabilize, you stop projecting unmet needs onto your twin. You stop looking for them to compensate for what you haven't given yourself yet. You stop oscillating between running and reaching. Instead, you radiate completeness. You embody both softness and strength. You become whole within yourself. This internal merging is the energetic precursor to physical union. Because twin flames mirror each other, the moment your energies align, theirs begin aligning too. Your clarity influences their clarity. Your emotional steadiness shifts their emotional field. Your balance stabilizes the connection on a soul level. This is why things feel calmer, even if nothing has happened yet. This is why your triggers are softer, your reactions more measured, your intuition more accurate. Your inner masculine and feminine are no longer competing, they are collaborating. And this collaboration creates a magnetic field that pulls you closer to your twin flame, not through force but through natural resonance. You are stepping into the inner union that makes outer union not just possible, but inevitable. You have become the harmony you once searched for outside yourself. And now, the universe can reflect that harmony back to you in physical form. There comes a moment on every soul journey when the exhaustion finally cracks, not because you gave up, but because you outgrew the version of yourself who carried the weight of fear, waiting, and doubt. This is that moment. The soul fatigue that has been accumulating for months, or even years, begins to dissolve. The heaviness you carried in your chest, the endless cycle of questioning, the emotional strain of holding on to something unseen, all of it begins to fall away as a new level of spiritual strength rises within you. And this strength is different. It doesn't feel like effort. It doesn't feel like struggle. It feels natural, grounded, effortless. Like coming home to a version of yourself you've been trying to become all along. Soul fatigue is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your spirit has been undergoing deep transformation. You have been processing old wounds, releasing outdated patterns, breaking karmic cycles, and expanding your heart in ways that few people ever understand. You weren't just tired from waiting, you were tired from becoming, from healing, from evolving, from carrying emotional weight that your spirit was finally ready to outgrow. And now, that inner labor is complete. The energy that once drained you no longer belongs to you. The fatigue loses its purpose because the lesson behind it is complete. What replaces that exhaustion is a quiet, unshakable spiritual strength. It does not roar. It does not shout. It expands inside you like a sunrise, slow, steady, powerful. You begin to notice that situations which once triggered panic now invite calm. Questions that used to overwhelm you now feel irrelevant. Fears that once controlled your actions now pass through you like clouds instead of storms. This is the moment where your inner energy shifts from survival to alignment, from holding on to allowing, from hoping to knowing. Your faith becomes different too. In the past, faith may have felt like a burden, a constant effort to believe despite doubt, to trust despite fear, to hold vision despite uncertainty. But now faith becomes fuel. It becomes the natural state you return to, a quiet inner certainty that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You no longer cling to outcomes or timelines. You no longer plead for signs. You simply know. You trust the process because you trust yourself. Your faith is no longer something you force, it is something you embody. This is spiritual maturity. This is evolution. This is the stage of your journey where you stop chasing alignment because you are alignment. The universe meets you differently when you reach this stage. Opportunities flow without resistance. Synchronicities arrive without effort. Emotional clarity becomes normal. Peace becomes your default state. And that peace is not passive, it is powerful. It is the sign that your soul has shifted from fatigue to flow. You are no longer holding on. You are no longer draining yourself trying to keep faith alive. You have stepped into the version of yourself who knows how to rest and trust, who understands the timing of the universe, and who recognizes that strength does not come from struggle, it comes from surrender. Your soul is awake now. Your path is clear. And spiritual strength is finally leading the way. There comes a moment in your spiritual evolution when you no longer have to chase what is meant for you, because your very presence begins to attract it. This is the moment when your aura becomes magnetic without you trying, when the energy you have cultivated within yourself starts speaking louder than your words, actions, or intentions ever could. Your frequency has shifted. Your vibration has risen. Your field is clear. And now, the world responds to you in an entirely new way. When you heal, truly heal, your energy changes long before your circumstances do. You release the heaviness that once anchored you to fear. You dissolve the patterns that once kept you small. You let go of the emotional debris that once signaled to the universe that you weren't ready yet. And as this clearing continues, your aura begins to expand, strengthen, and radiate in ways even you can feel. You start noticing that people respond to you differently, with more warmth, more respect, more openness. You start seeing doors open where they were once tightly shut. You feel synchronicities arise without you searching for them. This is your healed frequency drawing in alignment like a magnet. You attract without pushing, because your energy is finally clean of desperation, fear, and force. Attraction is not about trying, it is about allowing. When your aura vibrates at a high frequency, it naturally pulls in experiences that match that vibration. This isn't magic, it's energetic law. What you once strained to make happen begins finding its way to you. Conversations appear at the perfect moment. Opportunities align without effort. People step into your orbit who reflect your growth. You don't perform or pretend or chase, you simply exist in your truth, and your truth becomes enough to draw in everything that resonates with it. You receive without begging, because you no longer question your worthiness. Begging is born from a belief that you are not enough. Receiving is born from the inner knowing that you are. As your heart heals and your self-worth rises, you shift into a frequency where you no longer grasp for outcomes, you welcome them. The universe responds to your energetic posture, and the moment you stand in your power instead of your fear, you begin receiving what was waiting for you all along. You manifest without forcing, because manifestation is not about control, it is about coherence. When your inner state matches your desired reality, the universe has no resistance to work against. Your desires flow toward you because your energy is no longer contradicting them. Your mind, emotions, heart, and soul speak the same language, and that language becomes a beacon for creation. This magnetic aura is not temporary, it is the natural outcome of becoming the truest version of yourself. Every layer you shed increases your radiance. Every truth you claim strengthens your field. Every moment you choose alignment enhances your magnetism. You don't have to push anymore. You don't have to strain. You don't have to prove. Your energy now does the work. And the universe cannot resist a soul that vibrates in its authentic, healed, sovereign frequency. There comes a moment on your spiritual path when the intensity you've been carrying inside begins to soften, not because the journey is over, but because the emotional body has finally reached the point of release. This is that moment. You may feel sudden waves of peace washing over you at random times, or tears rising without a clear trigger, or even a deep sigh that seems to come from the soul itself. These sensations aren't mood swings. They aren't instability. They are the unmistakable signs that your emotional body is purging the last residue of fear, especially the fear created during the long separation phase of your journey. For months, perhaps years, you've been holding fear in your energy field, fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of not being chosen, fear of being wrong about the connection, fear of repeating old patterns, fear of being too much or not enough. These fears were imprinted from past relationships, childhood wounds, ancestral patterns, and the deep uncertainty of spiritual awakening. They lived in the emotional body like invisible knots, hidden but heavy. And even after your mind understood that you were safe, your heart still flinched in the direction of old pain. But now, something is shifting. The emotional body is doing what the emotional body does best. It releases when you're finally ready to hold your next level of truth. The peace you're feeling is not random. It's the beginning of emotional coherence. The tears you're shedding are not weakness, they are purification. The unexpected relief isn't confusion, it's completion. Every time your chest suddenly feels lighter, you're releasing an energetic imprint of separation. Every time you feel a strange calm where there used to be anxiety, you are integrating alignment. Every time you breathe differently, deeper, more freely, your emotional body is declaring, I am safe now. This safety is not coming from another person. It is not coming from reassurance, or proof, or certainty from the outside world. It is coming from within you. This is the greatest spiritual milestone of all, becoming safe within yourself. Becoming your own home. Becoming your own anchor. When your emotional body no longer reacts from fear, the entire frequency of your soul shifts. And this shift calls union in. Not because you are desperate. Not because you are attached. Not because you are forcing anything. But because the vibration of safety is the foundation of reunion. Twin flame union cannot anchor into instability. It cannot merge through fear. It cannot grow inside emotional turbulence. Union enters your life when your heart becomes a space where love can land without being tangled in wounds. The emotional residue you're purging is not just personal, it is karmic, ancestral, and collective. You are releasing every version of yourself who didn't feel worthy of love, who didn't feel chosen, who didn't feel supported. You are letting go of timelines where survival overshadowed connection. You are stepping into a new emotional era where your heart is no longer a battlefield but a sanctuary. As the last layers of fear leave your body, you become aligned, receptive, and ready. You step into the kind of inner safety that draws union toward you, not as fantasy, but as destiny. You are finally becoming the version of yourself who can hold love with open hands instead of trembling ones. This is not the end of your healing. It is the beginning of your wholeness. There comes a moment on your journey when the fog finally lifts, when the confusion, the mixed signals, the emotional noise, and the inner static that once clouded your intuition begins to dissolve. This is that moment. For so long, spiritual interference surrounded your connection. Not because you were doing anything wrong, but because you and your twin were navigating old wounds, karmic patterns, energetic blockages, and lessons that required space, distance, and deep inner work. Your intuition wasn't broken, it was being drowned out by healing that needed to happen first. But now, the interference is fading. The energetic static that once made it hard to trust your inner guidance is disappearing. The misunderstandings you kept running into, the misread signs, the emotional overreactions, the doubt loops, are no longer gripping you the way they once did. You feel a clarity returning, a sense of knowing that's quieter but more powerful than anything you've felt before. This is a sign that the spiritual interference around your connection has dissolved. The universe is clearing the channels that were once blocked by fear, confusion, or timing misalignment. As this interference clears, something extraordinary begins to happen. The line between you and your twin becomes clearer, cleaner, and stronger. Even if there is no physical communication yet, you can feel the energetic connection stabilizing. Their emotions, thoughts, or shifts in energy feel easier to sense, not in a draining way, but in a grounding, peaceful, and aligned way. You can feel them again without mistaking fear for intuition. You can distinguish truth from triggers. You can feel movement, even if it isn't visible yet. For months, the connection may have felt chaotic, inconsistent, or foggy. You may have questioned whether your intuition had failed you, whether the signs were wrong, whether the connection was imagined. But you were never wrong. Your intuition was never wrong. It was simply navigating through layers of pain and interference that needed to be released before clarity could return. Now, the noise has quieted. The confusion has thinned. The energy is finally becoming pure again. And with that purity comes a reopening of the channel between you and your twin flame. The direct energetic communication that once felt blocked or overwhelming now becomes a clear pathway. You may feel their presence more strongly. You may sense their emotions as your own. You may receive inner messages that feel calm, certain, and aligned rather than chaotic or fear-based. You may even notice synchronous thoughts, mirrored emotions, or intuitive hits that arrive without doubt. This is not imagination. This is the natural restoration of your soul bond. When interference dissolves, the connection becomes what it was always meant to be, clean, sacred, and guided by truth instead of fear. Your heart and soul open again, not because you're longing, but because you're aligned. Your twin's energy responds, not because they're pressured, but because the universe has cleared the path between you. What you feel now is the stabilized, purified twin flame connection returning to its natural frequency. You are no longer fighting through noise. You are finally hearing the truth again. And the truth is simple. The path between your souls is open. There comes a moment in your spiritual evolution when life stops feeling like a collection of random events and begins to reveal itself as a carefully woven tapestry. This is that moment, the moment when destiny threads begin pulling you into alignment. You start stepping into conversations, moments, decisions, and opportunities that feel strangely familiar, almost as if you've walked into a scene you've lived before in another lifetime. The timing is too perfect, the flow too smooth, the resonance too deep to dismiss as coincidence. Something larger is guiding you now, and you can feel it. These destiny threads don't drag you forward. They pull you gently, subtly, but undeniably. You'll notice that the things meant for you begin finding you without effort. A message arrives at the exact moment you need it. A person crosses your path with information that answers a question you never voiced. An opportunity appears that aligns perfectly with your desires. Decisions become clearer. Your intuition becomes louder. Even the smallest choices begin to feel guided, orchestrated by a divine intelligence working behind the scenes. Synchronicities no longer appear as isolated signs. They form a pattern, one that reveals direction. The universe starts speaking to you in a language you suddenly understand. Numbers repeat in sequences. Songs play at the perfect moment. Dreams deliver symbolic truths. And the same message echoes through multiple sources, almost like the universe is ensuring you don't miss it this time. These synchronicities don't reassure your path, they map it. They illuminate the path forward like stepping stones that appear only when your foot is ready to land. This is alignment. This is destiny merging with free will. This is your soul stepping into a timeline that has been patiently waiting for you. You may notice that resistance begins to fade. What used to feel confusing now feels obvious. What once caused doubt now brings clarity. Your next steps rise naturally from your inner knowing instead of analytical thinking. You're not forcing doors open anymore, they open for you. You're not searching for your place, you're being guided to it. The universe is placing you exactly where you need to be, with the people you're meant to meet, at the moments you're meant to meet them. Every part of your journey begins to feel interconnected. Your past experiences suddenly make sense. Your old wounds reveal their purpose. Every loss you endured becomes a setup for this alignment. Every delay, every detour, every moment of stillness was preparing you for the ease you feel now. You're stepping into the chapter where destiny no longer feels like a distant vision, it becomes an active force shaping your present reality. This is the unmistakable feeling of being guided. Not by fear, not by longing, not by uncertainty, but by divine timing and soul purpose. You're not walking blindly anymore. You are moving with a sense of inner direction that cannot be shaken. Destiny is no longer something you're trying to reach. It's something that is reaching for you. And as these threads pull you forward, you begin to realize something profound. You are exactly where you are meant to be, and the path ahead is unfolding with extraordinary precision. You are aligned. You are guided. You are ready. There is a point on every twin flame and spiritual journey when something shifts beneath the surface, quietly, invisibly, yet unmistakably. This is the moment when your soul contract begins to activate its next chapter. Even though you cannot see it with your physical eyes, your higher self, your guides, and your twin flame have already begun moving into a new phase of agreement, a deeper alignment that was written long before this lifetime. The spiritual machinery behind your connection starts turning again, not toward healing this time, but toward building union. Up until now, your soul contract focused heavily on awakening, on pulling you apart so you could rise individually, on triggering your wounds so they could be cleared, on pushing you to grow into your highest self. The earlier chapters of this contract were written in the language of lessons, karmic cycles, and emotional excavation. Even the separation, as painful as it was, served a vital purpose. It broke open the parts of you that needed light. It cleared ancestral patterns. It forced both of you to meet yourselves honestly. But now, the contract shifts. You may not see visible changes yet, but you can feel them with absolute certainty. What once felt like longing now feels like inevitability. What once felt far away now feels close, so close you can sense its heartbeat. The yearning has transformed into knowing. The hope has transformed into confidence. This energetic shift is not imagination, it is the activation of a new soul agreement pulling you toward a shared timeline. Your guides begin working more directly with you, orchestrating synchronicities that guide your steps. Your intuition becomes sharper because your higher self is communicating more clearly. You start feeling your twin flame's energy more consistently, not in a draining way, but in a stabilizing, peaceful way. Their emotions echo within you, not to confuse you, but to align your frequencies. This is what happens when a soul contract enters its union-building stage. The two souls begin operating as one energetic system again. In this phase, the universe is not testing you, it is preparing you. Your emotional triggers soften. Your fears lose their power. Your mind becomes quieter. Your intuition becomes louder. You feel supported in ways you didn't before. The inner work you once struggled through now feels easier, smoother, almost guided. This is because your soul contract is no longer centered on cleansing the wounds. It is now centered on strengthening the connection. You begin noticing subtle signs that reflect this shift. Your thoughts about the future feel grounded rather than wishful. Your dreams are filled with clarity rather than confusion. Even your daily life begins arranging itself in ways that seem to accommodate what's coming. This is not coincidence, this is contract. You are being moved into position. Your twin flame is being aligned as well. And the most powerful sign of all? You no longer question if union is possible. You feel, deep within your spirit, that it is written. You sense that all paths are now narrowing into one inevitable outcome. The storyline is no longer unfolding through longing, it is unfolding through divine timing, destiny, and soul agreement. Your next chapter has already begun. And this time, you are not walking toward union alone, you are walking toward it with your soul's contract leading the way. There comes a moment on the spiritual path when your intuition stops feeling like a whisper and begins speaking with the clarity of truth itself. This is the moment when your future self, the version of you who has already stepped into union, alignment, purpose, and inner harmony, begins guiding your present self. You may not realize it at first. It may feel like sudden clarity, a feeling of inner direction, or a quiet but powerful sense of knowing. But what you're actually experiencing is the timeline of your highest reality reaching back to pull you forward. Your future self exists, not as fantasy, not as hopeful imagination, but as a fully formed energetic version of you who already holds the love, stability, emotional maturity, and spiritual union you've been growing toward. This version of you holds the wisdom your present self is discovering. And now, the veil between those two versions thins. You begin receiving guidance, nudges, ideas, and intuitive messages that don't feel like they are generated by your current state of mind. They feel like they come from a wiser, steadier place inside you. This is because they do. Your intuition becomes calmer, clearer, and more direct because it is no longer clouded by fear or history. The noise of survival mode thinking begins to fade. The static from old wounds and outdated beliefs dissolves. What remains is the voice of your future self, your true self, communicating without interference. You start feeling nudges that guide you toward decisions that reflect the life you're stepping into, not the life you're leaving behind. Your choices begin coming from alignment, not anxiety. Your emotions begin responding from clarity, not chaos. You may notice that you suddenly feel less reactive. Things that used to trigger you no longer hold the same power. Certain behaviors or patterns that once felt normal now feel misaligned. You're drawn toward healthier routines, deeper peace, more grounded responses. You begin acting in ways that match the version of you who already lives in union. Not from force, not from effort, but from instinct. That instinct is your future self leading the way. This shift is profound because it signifies the collapsing of timelines. The you who has already lived your highest potential is now merging with the you who is rising into it. This is why you feel more stable. This is why your intuition feels softer but stronger. This is why your inner voice no longer screams, it confidently guides. Your future self does not operate from fear or scarcity, it operates from truth. And you are now tuning into that truth effortlessly. As this communication strengthens, you will find yourself saying things you needed to hear long ago, setting boundaries you once avoided, choosing peace over drama, and following your inner pull rather than your past patterns. You'll trust yourself without demanding proof. You'll move without waiting for permission. You'll feel guided even when nothing around you has visibly changed yet. This is the essence of spiritual alignment, the future version of you calling your present self forward. You are stepping into the life that was always meant for you. And the voice you hear within you now? That is your future self ensuring you don't miss the path home. There comes a sacred moment in your journey when the energy of reunion stops being an internal transformation and begins entering your physical reality. This is that moment. For months, Perhaps longer. Everything has been shifting on the inside. Your heart healed. Your intuition sharpened. Your energy stabilized. Your inner masculine and feminine reached balance. Your emotional body released layers of fear and attachment. All of that inner work was preparing you for what is beginning to unfold now, the earliest ripples of reunion appearing in your outer world. You may not see dramatic physical signs yet, but your reality is starting to rearrange itself in subtle, powerful ways. You begin feeling a pull toward new routines, habits that nourish your body, your spirit, and your sense of purpose. You find yourself naturally wanting to improve your life, not out of desperation, but out of alignment. You want cleaner energy around you, clearer environments, stronger boundaries, and healthier practices. This is not random. It is your physical reality shifting to match your internal vibration. You may notice sudden confidence upgrades rising within you. Moments when you feel surges of clarity about who you are and what you deserve. Moments where self-doubt feels foreign, as if it belongs to an older version of you. These confidence upgrades are signals, proof that your energy is now strong enough to hold the vibration of union without collapsing into fear or uncertainty. Another key shift is your heightened awareness of your twin flames' emotional state. You may notice that you suddenly feel them more clearly, not in a draining or overwhelming way, but in a grounded, intuitive way. Their sadness gently brushes your heart. Their growth subtly inspires your own. Their shifts ripple into your awareness with a sense of calm understanding. This is the energetic bridge between you becoming stronger. The interference has cleared. The connection is stabilizing. And the two of you are aligning vibrationally in preparation for the next steps. These subtle sensations are not coincidences. They are the first signs of union physicalizing. Energetic alignment always precedes physical alignment. Before two bodies can come together, two energies must meet. Before physical union can manifest, internal union must be complete. You have spent months building the inner foundation required for a reunion that is stable, mature, and soul-led. Now, the universe is beginning to mirror that to you externally. You may feel nudges to clean your home, upgrade your routines, shift your focus, or detach from old influences. You may feel unusually inspired to grow, to expand, to prepare for something. That something is the beginning of your reunion timeline anchoring into the physical world. You are being positioned. You are being aligned with circumstances, opportunities, and moments that will lead you directly to the next stage of your connection. Everything you are feeling now, the pull toward improvement, the rising confidence, the deeper intuition, the awareness of your twin, is the universe signaling that the inner work has taken root, and now the outer world is responding. This is the first ripple of union taking form. Your destiny is no longer inside you alone. It is beginning to touch the edges of your reality. And as we wrap up this message, remember, nothing you're feeling right now is accidental. The signs, the shifts, the sensations, they're all pointing toward the same truth. The separation cycle is dissolving, and the timeline of reunion is awakening right beneath your feet. If this resonated with your soul, even in the smallest way, if you felt that inner pull, that spark of recognition, that quiet, "I know this is for me," then trust that knowing. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Comment the words, "I'm ready," below to anchor your energy into this new timeline and let the universe know you're stepping into alignment with courage, clarity, and an open heart. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the energy shifts coming in the next few days and weeks are going to unfold fast, and you won't want to miss the guidance. Thank you for being here, thank you for choosing healing, and thank you for walking this sacred path with such strength. Until next time, stay aligned, stay open, and remember, the universe is already moving everything into place for you.